Partnered by Times Influence.
India has seen rapid urbanization in recent times. To cope with the growing urban population, it is crucial to highlight pertinent issues and opportunities revolving around housing and infrastructure. To showcase the best solutions for various challenges faced by India's growing cities, the Municipalika International Exhibition and Conference 2017 held in Mumbai was one of the biggest events in the country on city solutions. The exhibition saw over 170 exhibitors and participation from 300 cities showcasing technologies, equipment, products, software and solutions for smart and sustainable cities covering all facets of urban infrastructure development and housing and building construction activities. In this year's edition, over 5,000 delegates and visitors could benefit from the useful displays in the exhibition and insightful conference sessions.
It's truly a privilege and a pleasure to be here today with Canada as partner country for Municipalika once again. It's the third time that Canada has this honor. And as I've had a chance to interact with folks last night, this morning, it's also really great to see that Municipalika is, in fact, I would argue, one of the premier events with respect to this space, and how we've seen the smart cities dialogue, discussion, success in India evolve at a very rapid pace thanks to Municipalika.
It gives me immense pleasure to be in Navi Mumbai at this well-timed conference, the Municipalika Smart and Sustainable Cities 2017. And I feel greatly honored to be invited to address these inaugural sessions. Good friends, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate India, a mighty nation, for its courageous and ambitious reform to leapfrog to be the Asia economic powerhouse.
आज हम इस आयोजन के पार्टनर स्टेट हैं। पहले कहा जाता था कि भारत एक कृषि प्रधान देश है, भारत की अधिकांश संख्या गांवों में रहती है, गांवों में भारत की आत्मा बसती है और शहरीकरण को एक समस्या के रूप में लिया जाता था। लेकिन अब जिस तरह का दृष्टिकोण पूरे देश में बना है, उससे अब ये समस्या नहीं होकर के एक अवसर बन गया है, विकास का एक अवसर बन गया है और एक चुनौती के रूप में इसको सभी राज्य ले रहे हैं। राजस्थान भी उसमें पीछे नहीं है।
2 साल से हमारे देश में स्मार्ट सिटी और स्मार्ट सिटी को और स्मार्ट करने के लिए जो कार्यक्रम चलाया जा रहा है, उसके माध्यम से विश्व भर में जिस प्रकार की टेक्नोलॉजी उपलब्ध है, उस टेक्नोलॉजी का पूरा फ़ायदा हमारे शहरों को विकास के लिए और उसको आगे लेके जाने के लिए कितना महत्वपूर्ण है, कैसे उनकी भागीदारी हम हमारे बीच में कर सकते हैं। प्रदर्शनी के माध्यम से विश्व में किस प्रकार की टेक्नोलॉजी उपलब्ध है, उसका प्रदर्शन में 160 लोगों ने जहां पर हिस्सा लिया है।
A city cannot be smart unless the city has a good hospital, as you mentioned, good transport, and a city which is free from the slums. Near Bangalore city, just about 75 kilometers from Bangalore airport, we have called a city called KGF, Kolar Goldfields. My vision is to develop this KGF into a new city like Navi Bombay. My dream is that within half an hour from the airport, the one should be able to go to KGF.
Well, urbanization is a phenomenon which is akin to the economic growth of a country. That's a world experience. And it is projected that by 2030, this population is going to grow over 40%. And by 2050, we are going to be major urban country. That's a major challenge. That take this challenge as an opportunity. Because cities are engines of growth. Today they contribute around 60+%, 63%. This growth is such that this may go above 75% by 2040.
म्यूनिसिपैलिका 2017 अंतर्राष्ट्रीय कॉन्फ्रेंस के आयोजकों को, संस्थाओं को, पार्टनर्स और महाराष्ट्र सरकार को दिल से बधाई देना चाहती हूँ। साधुवाद देना चाहती हूँ कि जिन्होंने बदलते दौर की नब्ज़ को पहचाना और स्मार्ट एंड सस्टेनेबल सिटी सॉल्यूशन विषय पर इस शानदार कॉन्फ्रेंस और एग्जीबिशन का आयोजन किया है। मेरी तरफ से बहुत बहुत बधाई आपको। भारत के अंदर 31% आबादी शहरों में रहती है और इसकी जीडीपी में 63% आबादी का योगदान रहता है और 2050 तक ये योगदान और बढ़ जाएगा, ये 75% तक हो जाएगा जीडीपी।
The inaugural session saw the release of a special edition of the Urban News Digest, an Indian Green Building Council report on affordable housing. Built environment of cities covers two sides of the coin. Basic issues are city infrastructure and the other for the buildings. The Capex segment of Municipalika provided an excellent opportunity to consider the options to build strong, durable, affordable, cost-effective and disaster-resilient houses and buildings. The various green technologies and products were considered in the conference and displayed in the exhibition segment. Creating a vision for the future of building a smart, intelligent and livable city was the thought behind the address, which saw participation of distinguished speakers.
The vision. In the earlier days, when we were just break away from Malaysia, right, our vision of a city is that it's going to be a clean city, it's going to be safe, it's going to provide us with mobility and connectivity to the world, and more important, the society must be fair to all. That is the vision of future city in the 60s. And we have achieved the vision set out by our first Prime Minister, Lee Kuan Yew. Now, what is our new vision? Our new vision is to create a nation state that is smart, that create a meaningful life for us citizens, that we can fulfill our dreams, and enabled by technologies that are seamlessly connected, making our life for ourselves, our children, grandchildren more exciting. That is our vision now.
30% of all Indians between the age of 15 to 35, which is what the government classifies as the young population, is not in school, not in education, not in vocational training, and doesn't have a job. Now, if these 30%, this is the demographic dividend, if we don't focus on that, then to my mind, we might build smart cities, but they're not going to be very intelligent. So I would submit that instead of building cities that are smart, we should start looking at a philosophy of cities that have a heart.
Yeah, we all know, we have been all talking about smart cities, we have been talking about intelligent cities. We all know that. But the basic thing is, we are talking about transport, energy, waste. These are the challenges which we are facing. We all know about it. Water, healthcare, IT. Because without IT today, nothing is possible.
The first conference saw an esteemed lineup of speakers sharing their thoughts on the theme Smart and Sustainable Cities and the Way Forward. Ease of doing business, resource mobilization and financial management were some of the main talking points.
Our Honorable Prime Minister, his vision is for the new India. The new India which is not a developing India, but which is a developed India. An India which provides everything possible, a good ecosystem for the citizens to realize their potential. Every citizen has got a potential. Somebody has got a potential in business, somebody has got a potential in commerce, somebody in literature, somebody in different fields, so the citizens can realize their potential, and that will lead to the progress of the country, that will lead to the economic growth of the country.
In Canada, we're not building walls, we're opening doors. In Canada, we appreciate very much the opportunity to be here and to conduct business and also to share ideas. Now, there's an intelligent city, but an intelligent city is not necessarily a smart city, but a smart city can be an intelligent city. Ladies and gentlemen, there are so many issues that are surrounding us, regardless of where you are from the world. As a matter of fact, I have the same problems in Canada as you have in India. But of course, again, you have more people in India than we have in Canada. So it's just the degree of magnitude. It's just how big the problem happens to be, but the solutions are all relatively the same.
We are very unique. We are both a promotional agency as well as a regulator. And how do we discharge our two contrasting duties? Being a small country without resource, we must create an attractive marketplace to attract companies from India, from Canada to do business in Singapore. And our government have set up and making concerted effort to make Singapore a good place to do business in, and for as long as I remember, we are always among the top 3 for ease of doing business.
One of the major highlights was the interactive session on participative cities, with those governing the cities represented by mayors, municipal commissioners and those governed by citizens group, RWA, NGO, CBOs to discuss common problems faced and to evolve effective responses with joint participation and partnership. Many best practices for this were shared.
We had more than 150 exhibitors, those who have put in displays here. And we have international participants mainly from Canada and Singapore who are big. You know, Canada joined as a partner country with a 100-strong delegation. And then Singapore is not far behind. They are as feature countries. And I believe more than 20 people from their pavilion, you know, from Singapore, those who have joined this show. And in terms of number of delegates in the conference sessions, and they are of course moving around in the exhibition as well, we got about 1,200 delegates who registered for the conference, and then we have more than 2,500 visitors from otherwise who are not delegates but who have walked in to visit the show.
We are here for the first time in Bombay. We are here just to sell our product, to see how we can contribute towards to this industry. We know that precast have been one of the streamlined to increase productivity, and with such a big number of requirement of housing projects in Bombay, I believe precast technology can help you to speed up this requirement. Coming to another form of advertisement or promote your company is through attending exhibitions like this. And this way, we have direct confrontation or direct dealing with the client, with the developers, with the contractors, and with the public to showcase our business where we are.
The exhibition is providing the industry and the government linkage. Is providing us a view of different technologies. The expectation is that how to implement the new technologies in the field of solid waste management, in the STPs, solid waste treatment, recycling, and other surveillance projects, which are become the main areas of urban governance today. It helps in a way to understand the availability of the technologies in implementing various projects, to have a first-hand experience of various models which exist, and also to frame our policies or our tender documents according to the available technologies in India today.
more businessmen and peoples came and see our products and details. We also interact with them. So it is more profitable for us.
Bentley Systems is the world's #1 company in the infrastructure engineering. We have softwares for design, analysis, modeling of pre-planning, planning, implementation and O&M of various assets, be it your water, wastewater, road, railways, metro systems, oil, gas, mining. We talked about reality modeling. We talked about various engineering and GIS solutions. So we are #1 and we are coming here to tell the world how you can make your city smart and sustainable by implementing our technology.
What we are showcasing here is the total surveillance solution that can be provided to this entire country. Some of the, with the Smart City Solutions program which is coming up in India, our company has got the complete surveillance as well as the monitoring system available with us. We are showcasing here all our Smart City solutions, the traffic management solution, the traffic violation solution, and some smart products like, terrain cameras and things like that, which can be of use to the masses in India.
Welcome back. Next up was a conference on the theme of smart cities with key points discussed being urbanization and its challenges, ever-growing population and how smart cities should be sustainable.
Urbanization is actually very important, as you know, and to try and come up with the proper model for urbanization is key for our future development of the cities. And we've done a lot of research under that banner. There are several indicators how technological innovation has been used, how intelligent the systems are, and we are talking about now green building as well as important for smart cities. Smart cities really entails all the different themes of this conference. To truly be smart, you need to make sure you address all the other aspects as well. And there are some examples of smart cities around the world. Songdo in Korea, but actually developed by a private sector, working with the government there. So the good thing about Songdo is with private sector investment, they were actually able to build the city. And there's about like less than 100,000 people population living, and it's fairly successful in terms of like it's not a ghost town, that actually people are there working and living.
Smart cities is our future, of course, and we all need to do better. The current trends of urbanization will result in 70% of the global population living in cities by 2050. And given the increasing social and environmental changes, it's important that it is imperative that we learn how best to develop, govern and manage these integrated and sustainable cities. Though urbanization, of course, generates significant environmental and socio-economic challenges, it's essentially a positive phenomenon. With proper governance and planning, urbanization can contribute to improved livelihoods and social values, ethnic and cultural integration, as well as extension of democracy, human rights and poverty alleviation.
So what I'm going to talk about is the future cities, or smart cities as popularly known, a concept where we're seeing cities transforming, through a whole lot of initiatives from various parts of the government into something which is more livable, sustainable, and so on for the future. And what we're seeing is also a whole set of complex drivers which are impacting these changes. There is demographic shift, there is industrial revolution, or the fourth industrial revolution is called, new technologies which are coming in, and so on and so forth. There is also a threat, security, safety, citizen, data privacy, and so on and so forth, which need to be accounted for when you're actually planning and designing, a government transformation or transformation into a smart city or a future city.
Rajasthan is one of the best performing states as far as Amrit project is concerned. Fastest approval of state annual action plans from MOUD, we are able to achieve. All our budgeted outlay has been approved by Minister of Urban Development. 95% of DPRs already approved by state level technical committee within 16 months of time. So the advantage we are having in our hand is that more than 3 years are available for execution. It is always better, and it gives enormous confidence for successful completion of the project if sufficient execution time is available in the project. State has also received incentive for reforms carried out in 2015-16, and hopefully we will be getting another incentive for 2016-17 reforms.
A major session of Safe and Resilient and Secure Cities was held regarding protection of cities and citizens against natural calamities for safety and also secure cities for women and children. Healthy cities was the theme for the next conference, with the Swachh Bharat mission being the main point of discussion, along with the need of providing public and community toilets and sanitation for all.
The sanitation is so important. We are an urbanizing country. Already 31% of the country is urbanized, and by 2050 we expect that around 50% of India will be staying in cities. And what happens out there? How is sanitation affected? Sanitation gets affected because of the demand on the water resources. It gets affected because the sewerage systems are unable to cope up. So there's a huge requirement of sanitation for all as far as the urban India is concerned. These are some figures which were brought out by renowned institutions like the World Bank, which says that we lose around 6.4% of our GDP because of sanitation related diseases and inadequate sanitation, where the tourism gets compromised, where the access to health is limited, and it definitely is causing around 200,000 deaths per year.
We started focusing on toilets like community toilets, individual household toilets, mobile toilets, school toilets, urinals. When we started looking around, we only saw where we could install toilets, and then we realized it's everywhere. The demand is so huge. The basic problem which today the country has is from these are the causes of failure of traditional public toilets. There was no cleanliness, no ventilation, no arrangement of water and lighting, poor construction of standards, insecurity. This was specially applicable for female users, no budget allocation for maintenance, common designs for all users, be it children, men, women, or physically challenged, no proper disposal systems, and existing toilets were unfit to use.
The next conference saw a notable lineup of speakers dissecting the theme Green Cities, with the key points discussed being energy efficiency, sustainable development options, and techniques for reducing emissions.
When we talk about globalization, there are certain concerns attached to it. We are party to the United Nations climate change issues, and we have a target to achieve around emission reduction intensity by 36%. This is a big challenge for us, but Singapore has a habit of changing all challenges to opportunities. We have an opportunity here to become a global leader in green buildings with special expertise in the tropics and subtropics. Simultaneously, we have created a lot of aspirations, and we have been on the ground working to be achieving low energy, high energy buildings, high rise buildings, zero energy, medium rise, and positive energy, low rise buildings.
Lighting industry globally is impacted by few trends. One is we need more energy efficiency, and as stated earlier, we are getting more digital. So why our public infrastructure doesn't go digital? Can lighting enable public infrastructure go digital? Yes. So lighting can play a very important role, and when it comes to smart cities, I'm sorry to say, but we only consider street lights as the enabler of smart city as far as lighting is concerned, and that's a wrong approach.
I'll elaborate a little bit on the healthy building concept, which is what we do.
Why is it important? Because finally we are making buildings for the people to live or work in. So cities are made for the people to live and work in. So if the buildings are healthier, cities are healthier, people will be healthier. What makes the built environment unhealthy? Design, air quality, building material, finishes, and electronic smog. Our company's expertise is to look at the radiations and how those makes building healthy or unhealthy.
So basically ESL acts as an aggregator. We enter into a strong public-private participation. We started with the deemed saving approach, then third-party investment by the ESL. The target we have been given by the ministry itself for LED tube light, we have been given a target for 770 million lamps has to be distributed across the country. So far we have been distributed 230 million lamps. So we have been able to achieve almost 6,000 megawatt alone. And the beauty of the program is there is not a single paisa subsidy from either from the state government or from the central government.
These exhibitions basically bring a lot of OEMs and suppliers for things like infrastructure, smart city solutions together, so that the user, basically who is the infrastructure, either municipal corporations and other utility bodies, so they come here and they look at the services and products which are useful for this thing. So that is how these exhibitions become a common, maybe a sourcing ground for the key players of infrastructure.
We have very wonderful products which are very helpful with the entire infrastructure growth of the country. We are able to demonstrate, proceed to people what are advantages of our products in the country. And across one place we meet a lot of instrumental people who are decision makers, and they are able to decide and see the products, the advantages of things, and maybe they are able to decide faster on that.
There's a whole lot of garbage which gets collected which needs to be transported to the dumping sites, and we as an organization provide all sorts of transportation solutions. So these are some of the models which we have displayed here, which actually puts us across to all the municipal corporations who are participating and visiting the show. So they get to know what kind of innovations, what kind of solutions we have in their mission towards Swachh Bharat.
Welcome back. As urbanization accelerates in India, the demand for affordable housing is on a rise. With this thought in mind, eminent speakers discuss the challenges of affordable housing and the way forward.
It's a very interesting time to be talking about affordable housing because we're in a real estate market that is obviously slumping across the country. And the government seems to be pushing us from mid-range or luxury housing into affordable housing, and perhaps pushing a lot of real estate developers who don't want to get into affordable housing, forcing them to consider it because all of the benefits right now are in affordable housing. So it's a very clear message that our government is sending to us that whether we're city planners or developers or architects, affordable housing is the space that the government wants us to be considering. Somehow, despite all of that, we're not seeing enough action on the ground. So there must be something that is standing in the way of this affordable housing, which is why we're not seeing enough change. I'm going to start with Shankar. Shankar, I know that this is a battle that I have with developers on a regular basis when they say, what slump? The prices are doing very well. Nothing has come down. But the truth is that the government is forcing us towards cheaper homes, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think recently, for the last 1 year, 1.5 years, a lot of talk has been happening on the affordable housing. And with the introduction of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, a lot of developers are looking at getting into affordable housing. However, they do feel that there will be a lot of challenges because already they are facing piling up of unsold inventories in their projects.
What is affordable housing? Because between private and government and consultants like JLL, we found the definition of affordable housing tends to vary. And unless we can solve that problem and understand what qualifies as affordable, we'll never know how to actually build what we don't know. So I'm going to start with Nakshat Roy. From the point of view of the private sector, what is affordable housing?
See, affordable, the term affordable is very difficult to define. What is affordable in the city of Mumbai is extremely, extremely rich in, say, Nasik or Nagpur. Affordability index has to be defined city-wise, town-wise, as per the earning capacity, per capita income and stuff like that. What we intend usually to do is affordable housing, we say it's to be defined as a smaller size unit. So lesser input of land, undivided share of land and construction cost.
I want to bring in Jayashree here. Jayashree, in terms of supply that's coming in, even today when we look at the market, and you're looking at the market on Magic Bricks every day, how much of it is truly affordable? How much of it is getting lapped up? And you know, I'm measuring affordability by closing sales. Because at the end of the day, I honestly believe one thing, that if an Indian family finds a home in the right price, they will buy that home. They are not going to sit around and say, I'm going to catch the market when it's down, catch the market when it's up. You find the right price, the right home, people buy. So if people are not buying, have we misunderstood affordability altogether? As an industry, have we taken a left turn and completely missed the point?
I don't think the whole industry missed the point. I think what really happened, and I have been looking at searches as a proxy of demand. And one thing that I do see is that over the years, whether it was in the market or not, the consumer was searching for that sub 20 lakh housing. And that, I think, was the biggest unmet demand in the Indian housing market.
We tend to, and it's a combination of these two things. One, we had a government that came in and said, housing for all by 2022, which at that point seemed like a very ambitious target. At this point seems like an impossibly ambitious target. The question is this the government's responsibility to build homes for every Indian?
So, you know, the way I think, and it may be a slightly contrarian position, yes, it is government's responsibility at a high level, but it's not government's job. Like government's responsibility to make sure that, look, the transport is available, let's say the air transport or mobile telephony, it's available and efficient and accessible to all, doesn't mean that government can achieve that goal by operating it, you know. And I feel that right now, the way land markets and the housing markets function, there is a heavy hand of the government, and, you know, it has no business, for example, to define this many square feet is what I should live in to access, you know, to be more, for that to be more accessible, you know.
Arti, there were talks about how we can only build affordable housing if we do it in bulk. That's how the input costs come down. Now, I know that you're the RERA specialist here, and one of the problems with RERA we've noticed is that you have to have all your permissions in before you start building, which means that a lot of developers are going to have to slice projects down and go piece by piece. It takes away the benefit of being able to build in bulk. So, fundamentally going against our ability to build affordable housing.
So under RERA, wherever there are huge layouts, wherever we want to build something in bulk, you have the option of dividing it into phases. So even that layout, you can just get an approval for one phase, get that work started, get it registered, and in the meantime plan for the other phases also. So this issue of affordable, I mean, making it bulk, RERA definitely won't be a hindrance towards it.
I want to bring in V. Suresh here. Obviously, there are a lot of challenges to affordable housing. Do you believe that it's the government's responsibility to facilitate, the government's responsibility to build, or the government's responsibility to simply get out of the way at this point?
In India, 1 out of 10 houses done by government, 9 are done by the private sector, cooperative sector, individual sector. We have Singapore as a partner for us. There is just the reverse. 9 out of 10 houses are done by the Singapore Housing Development Board, is a public sector. So you have two ends of the scale available. It all depends upon capabilities and efficiencies of a large order. I am not for saying that who should build or who should not build. That's not the issue. You got to be a facilitator, you got to be an enabler through government policies at the right places, But you should be able to make available the most important component of land as an important infrastructure as a component there.
Sika is more than 100 years into construction chemicals industry. It's a Swiss-based company, and in India they have been more than 40 years into construction chemical, and what we say is a candy shop for construction chemical. We have all the solutions right from basement to roof solution for any buildings, infrastructure projects, special products like FRP for structure strengthening work, insulation roofing members and all, PVC membranes and bituminous membranes also for waterproofing.
We have launched like silencio pipes, then underground drainage systems are there, which are used in the construction industry and all. Then we have introduced this fire pipe, which is called as Fire Pro and all. We'll be launching as soon as possible. Then we are having conduit pipes also, which have recently launched in India, and for electric use and all. And we'll be going forward with other products also in construction in coming days.
Here you are getting a kind of a platform where you have a kind of dedicated customers coming to us for the kind of applications we are serving to the markets. So this really, we generate a lot of RFQs and inquiries from this kind of exhibitions, and which really helps us to perpetuate our business with those kind of customers.
We have many products which will contribute for the future, and smart cities for which government is working on various projects. You can see this fuel bowser, which is portable fuel dispensing system, a solution for street light maintenance, a solution for ground water management systems and wall maintenance systems. It's a good place to network with the people working for the major contractors like the wall maintenance system, underground piping system of the smarter cities, which should be planned well in advance. So it's a very good place to network with such kind of people.
Deconic is from Belgium company. We are among the top 3 designers and manufacturers of UPVC profiles for windows and doors. We have in India, we have our warehouse in Chennai and 40 channel partners pan-India. So from Chennai, we are supplying the products to all our channel partners who fabricate the windows and supply to the builders or the architects or the end users. So this has been a wonderful experience. We have a lot of architects and the urban development guys coming and meeting us. And we are going and meeting, giving our technical details to the municipality or the urban development guys. So it was a wonderful experience for us. So we're hoping for getting good leads.
Welcome back. The next conference saw the speakers discuss the theme of integrated cities and new vision with industrial revolution, growing commercial spaces, and how to build smart and sustainable cities being the main points of their talks.
Smart city basically is a perception. It cannot be defined into one definition. It's the perception of the users, not the developer or the designers, but the users, what they think about that, what they feel comfortable about. So in India, we have a different program for smart cities. One is which is run by the urban ministry, which have like a smart city program for our brownfield cities. They are working on the existing city, improving their infrastructure, their built area and the surroundings. And then second is the Ministry of Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion. These are the large scale programs. Large scale in the sense the city is developing from the base. It is a new cities. It's not the existing city. They are building a new industrial city that can be generate the production that can generate the GDP of India.
In the last 1.5 decades, the Indian real estate is growing substantially, and we could have seen ups and downs in between every 4th year. However, the growth is on the positive side at all times. We are adding about 36 to 40 million square feet year on year in India. These are commercial buildings. When we look at Tier 1 cities, used to be the focus earlier. If we look about 4 cities or 5 cities, including Bangalore, it used to be the preferred choice for office premises. Now we look at our Tier 2 cities, so-called Tier 2 cities like Pune, Coimbatore, and many Nagpur and other cities. It's much preferred location, as good as any Tier 1 cities.
GIFT City, the initiation started, the Gujarat state entirely is very good in production sector, but it was not good enough in the service sector. So then Gujarat government thought, what is the service sector that we must tap, which will bring more and more job opportunities in Gujarat and eventually in the GIFT City near Ahmedabad. So the government of Gujarat then appointed McKinsey consultant, and they found out one sector in the service sector area, that is International Financial Service Center, which is not yet tapped very much, and there is no International Financial Service Center in India. So with this background and the report given by the McKinsey, which was very positive, that this sector has a tremendous potential for growth. It has a tremendous potential to create new jobs, particularly to the range of 10 to 11 million jobs.
Focusing on the need to conserve water, integrated water management was the theme of the next conference, and the key points discussed were depleting water resources, dealing with drought situations, and the importance of rainwater harvesting.
Chennai Metro Water is providing treated water supply to Chennai city for more than 100 years service. We are facing severe drought. So our rainfall is normally 1200 mm. So due to drought conditions, last year our rainfall only 800 mm. So all our reservoirs are dried up. Only we are depending upon groundwater, and also we are conveying water from Neyveli lignite corporations, and also we hired about 250 agriculture well to augment water supply for 50 MLD.
We have been part of this plumbing industry since 1982. So we are having the largest diameter of pipes. That is the biggest achievement of our company. We are having 400 mm pipes. So these pipes are used, like for infrastructure water, and most of the infrastructure companies are using our products. See, when we are talking about smart cities and healthy cities, so our plumbing should be leak proof. Because if it's, like leaking, then crores of rupees what you and I are spending on tiles, then false ceiling, on paint and all, goes down the drain.
The next conference saw a notable lineup of speakers dissecting the theme Integrated Solid Waste Management. The collection and segregation of waste, recycling of plastic waste, and home composting system were some of the main points of discussion.
We have been in solid waste management for the last 40 years. So anybody who wants to do waste management at a level of their home or their building or their community or a municipal ward or for the entire city, we have a solution here. From 1 kg per day to 500 tons per day, we have solutions of mixed and segregated waste for composting for all of these. This is the biggest problem, which is a hurdle for India's development, and hence we have developed many solutions. We developed the largest plant in India, which is at Ahmedabad. A lot of people ask that what has been the advantage of Swachh Bharat Mission. Swachh Bharat Mission में सिर्फ Prime Minister साहब झाड़ू हाथ में लेके सबको बोलने लगे कि अब साफ करो, होता है कि नहीं. But we are somebody who runs a plant of 300 tons per day, mixed municipal solid waste in Ahmedabad, and we produce compost.
What is happening today in India, a lot of municipal solid waste is accumulated in all the big cities. And we say that this municipal solid waste is actually wealth or hidden treasure. If we literally go by that meaning, India is today the richest country. But that is not to be like that. What we need is the proper processing technology. Various processing technologies are available in India today. This composting is there, RDF is there, and waste to energy is also one of the solutions. So waste to energy is a very popular technology all over the world. Unfortunately, in India, this technology is not picked up so well because of so many things. India has witnessed a major shift in policy, perspectives and manners in which we manage the waste. Particularly municipal and urban development authorities, they have recognized the importance of involving the private sector to bring the state-of-art technology and also professionalism. Increased volumes of waste are being generated every day, owing to rising population and also lifestyle obligations.
solid waste management and both liquid waste management, both are a problem statement for all of us, for every and each individual. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi has said that we must have a clean society, we have to give a clean society to our next generation. Mr. Modi, our Prime Minister, also started Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. The problem is that today the waste management and liquid waste management is a big problem.
Geospatial solutions was the theme for the next conference, with key points discussed being the use of GIS and GPS technologies as a solution to the problems faced by Indian cities.
While India tried for the last 50 years to deal with extending urbanization and peri-urbanization around the cities, the models that were tried were various, like extending the municipal boundaries, creating urban development authorities outside, creating metropolitan development authorities, and creating even to the extent of a national capital region. And Mumbai metropolitan region falls under the metropolitan development authorities creation model. And Mumbai metropolitan region does a lot of coordination and financing activities, which is again not very common amongst them. Why was there a Mumbai metropolitan region in the first place? Because Mumbai had a limitation to its lateral growth because of its shape being surrounded by water, and it had all the activities concentrated in its southern tip. So everybody was traveling north-south. So it was always important to take it across onto the mainland for future expansion and break the north-south direction with east-west.
ADCC is one of the geospatial solution provider company in the country, which is catering to a lot of municipalities and a lot of municipal applications and government segments. So one of the unique project which ADCC has benchmarked with MMRDA was in 2005 we had a huge deluge in entire MMR region. So there was some committee formed by High Court, which is Chitale Committee. Government of Maharashtra was directed to implement entire water solutions, entire water simulation project for MMRDA under Chitale Committee. So ADCC was the company which has done that project. So we have used each one of them solution in bringing out the entire simulation model for 2005.
Esri is founded in 1969, based in California. The flagship product is ArcGIS, and we have India presence since 1989. We are all talking about digital cities, smart cities. So if you see the components of the smart cities, whatever I've highlighted here, most of them or almost all of them have location element onto it. So adequate water supply, when we are talking about water supply, where to give, so electricity supply, the electric lines, how to manage it, urban mobility, sustainability, security. In all these areas, one common factor is location. So Esri is a company which focuses only on location and how location can give benefit to any business they are dealing with.
Vidgun India is pioneer into road technologies. We have got many innovative techniques which we want to introduce into our civic uses. So these are the platforms where we can actually pitch our new technologies to the municipal corporations, and which can actually help protecting environment and save cost. We hope to have a good presence in terms of the corporations will recognize us, the administrators will recognize us, customers already know us. But now since we have support of the corporation people, the administrators, that should definitely help our business. I think the latest technology which we can actually want to promote in this platform is the milling technology and the recycling technology. Milling is basically an eco-friendly and cost-effective technique wherein we can actually rehabilitate existing roads and with a very minimal cost compared to the techniques that are used today. So that is one which we are actively and very aggressively promoting in this event.
Our new product is a sweeping machine, which is used for sweeping purpose. That machine we having tie-up with a Chinese partner, and this machine is completely made in India. So sweeping, like as you can see, machine it clears the roads, sucks the dust and dirty water, and cleans the road actually. People are giving response and they are showing their interest in our machines, our products. So this exhibition, first day itself, successful.
The 14th Municipalika Capex event helped to provide solutions to the various challenges for infrastructure creation and building construction faced in the development of 100 smart cities, 500 Amrit cities, Swachh Bharat Mission and housing strategies for delivering 20 million urban houses by 2022. The various recommendations that emerged would now be utilized for implementation by centre, state and local government agencies and all concerned stakeholders involved in creating smart and sustainable cities.
Partnered by Times Influence.